Everybody, good morning. Something desperately needs to change with how we view concepts. This is something I've been trying to teach for a few years, but it's becoming more integrated as necessary in the modern era. Meaning, when you hear an idea, when you hear someone say something outlandish, or someone say something that has partial truth, we tend to say, I'm going to sift through this because if this doesn't work, if this is not something we can market, it's not marketable, I'm going to get screwed over. And so we're often thinking not on the basis of truth, but on the basis of marketability. And because reality is created partially by the person, this is a claim that I was trying to hint at in the last video, nothing is outlandish. But if nothing is outlandish, if everything could make sense in the grand scheme of reality, what we need to do is we need to say, this person says something I either disagree with or I think is not marketable. We have to ask ourselves, how is something true? We have to find the truth in whatever someone's saying, but not just find the truth as in, okay, that's true and that's true. And then what you're going to do is you're going to forget about the person who said it. No, we want to get to the truth, the fundamental truth about the outlandish idea. So let's say someone makes a weird association that people consider schizophrenia. There's this pink or purple elephant that the person imagines. He's schizophrenic. I don't know if this is a real imaginary creature that anyone hallucinates. And he says that this creature goes from person to person and it's trying to get noticed. So he has this foundation concept that guides his perspectives. And what I want people to remember is, even though no one's going to adopt that as the basis for the reality, it's like a billion people are going to say, or a million people, 100 million people, that it's a purple elephant that goes from person to person. What I want to say is, what does the color purple represent? In many cultures, it could represent royalty or priesthood, right? So what you say is something that gets at the core of his psyche, and you can look up the meaning for the color and see how that color, through the collective unconscious, came to him, and as well as the animal that he's depicting. And so there might be an overarching truth with regard to archetypes. And that's how you have to be thinking about it. And that's one step, only one step among an insurmountable amount of ways to integrate the most outlandish ideas possible and to see the truth in it. Meaning, if someone had this radical belief system, it's not a problem to go all in and say it's 100% true. Why is it not? Because you're naturally not going to believe it anyways. So what you'll do with that starting point that it's true is find a way in which it fits into your reality and how it can make sense in the wider reality of the consensus paradigm. And in so doing, you've just accommodated a very late tier of development aspiration. Probably later than turquoise, probably closer to aubergine, where reality is understood as the basis to be not just subjective, but created based on a collective's beliefs. And I don't know if we're ever going to get there, but this frame of reference that everything is true is also liberating. It makes everything a dream. It makes everything both more serious and less serious simultaneously. It brings paradox to your life. It brings a kind of flexibility that we're longing for deep down inside, but we choose constantly to push away as a possibility, as if it's outlandish, as if it's a childish endeavor, to have it so that everyone's ideas are true automatically. And this isn't to say there aren't more truer ideas than others. I'm talking about how we integrate an idea into the collective. We have to start by saying, I'm going to see it from his perspective and see it as if it's true, and afterwards integrate it into my own paradigm. But once you realize that your own paradigm is interwoven with the fabric of the collective, you'll have the recognition more and more that your opinion is the collective. And this is not arrogance. This is not narcissism. And that's the problem people jump to. They say, just because you believe your opinion has a correlation to the collective, you're arrogant. And this was the big contradiction, or I should say paradox, or no, the best word is disagreement between Holmes and Emerson. Emerson believed in absolute truth. Now, Holmes was right that absolute truth doesn't exist. Maybe it was Tesla, I have to double check. But one of these philosophers, I think it was Emerson, believed you can learn about the world by learning about yourself. Whereas Emerson, even though Holmes was more correct that there is no absolute truth, Emerson was correct in that you can learn about the world by learning about yourself, because you're interwoven with the reasoning for reality's functions. Now, in my opinion, it's hard to ascertain who has more sway on the collective. I do believe, not in a hierarchy, but I believe that depending on schematics and the circumstance and your own strength of will for creation, which has a number of reasons why it happens, you can actually impose reality to be X, Y, or Z, such that other people are inclined to either believe it or see it that way. And there might be limitations to this, but there are certain metaphorical underlying clergy among the masses, or like angels almost, who shape reality as they want. And so their opinions generally are stronger naturally, even if they're not technically recognized. So what I'm trying to get here is, we don't need to go into hierarchical, some people have stronger minds than others. I actually want to do the opposite. I want to make it so that even the lowest person who wouldn't get integrated into the society as a meaningful and truthful person, his truth should be integrated such that every single person would automatically create that truth in reality because they said it. And the only concern is a lack of organization. And what I propose is we recognize how the ego works, that it's trying to create discord or chaos. And so we maintain stability. So every time we integrate a new idea, it automatically gets configured in a nice column, one that you helped rearrange. So it's partially happening naturally, and it's partially happening because you've decided to incorporate that outlandish idea. And so there's an example. There's a big conspiracy that the government wants to outlaw alcohol, let's say. It's just the first thing that popped into my head. I don't want to give away anyone's secrets. So the alcohol that the government is raising the price, let's say. So one perspective is it's because the government wants to outlaw alcohol. Another perspective is the government has nothing to do with it. There's just inflation. And then there's a third perspective where the reason why inflation is happening could be because of conspiracies happening. Whether it be this way or that way, it's not clear. But you've just integrated a concept that allowed for the potential for that truth to be in existence, and thereby you integrated a conspiracy theorist such that he's no longer a conspiracy theorist, he's a practical-minded person. But if we're all doing that all the time, everyone's ideas will make sense. And I believe that there is a coursing through the collective psyche such that one person affects the other, even psychically. And hopefully soon this will be proven, such that your opinion will shift the psychic mind of the next. And so outlandish and crazy will never come into our vocabulary because we'll fundamentally understand what information is and what logic is. I just request that we have a balance within ourselves as much as possible between integration and belief, such that things are put in their proper place in the right way, as opposed to just having a chaos shamble of pickup sticks. That's the issue that I'm just letting people be aware of. I naturally seem to fit things into their proper places. I've done it over time, and I'm thankful for that. But I'm concerned that people don't have that skill, and if they're not evolved enough, they're not going to naturally implement that process. All right, so that's my idea. It's about everyone's ideas requiring to be integrated as the next phase of our evolution.